Welcome back to another episode of Fantasy Endzone. I'm your host, Jake. You could follow me on X, Twitter, whatever you call it, at Louis Lewis 5. That's LEWYLEWIS and the number 5. Thanks for tuning in to today's show. I am joined by a guest. I will introduce him in a minute. The regular season of football is done, I guess, for us fantasy gamers. And now we are heading into fantasy playoffs in majority of our leagues, I guess. But with week 14 almost in the books, I am recording with my guest during the Monday Night Football game of Philly and Chargers. But on today's show, we will be discussing the injuries, some news that just popped up today. Also, we'll be talking about the thoughts of week 14 going into the playoffs, some of our overreactions and underreactions of certain players, and of course, our waiver targets to get you guys where you need to be for your championship. We got a lot to cover, so without further ado, let's get fantasy. I am joined here today by Jeremiah. Jeremiah, thanks again for taking the time and coming on the show and doing this with me. Why don't you introduce yourself and give a little information about yourself to the fans?
Hey, so happy to be here, Jake, and it's very exciting. We've been going at this at Profiler Now, Player Profiler News for a couple of years, and it's so good to be on the show. Thank you for having me. I love the highlights that you had. You have that Packers highlight at the very beginning, so I know go Pack, go there. Coach Retzlaff, I'm at Player Profiler. We've got Trade Gods. The Defenses and Kicker show has been just a grind. You and I were talking pre-show about the season grind, how you're in it one moment and then the next you're in the off season. You're always in a different mode. It's been a whole lot of fun. I have bet on it on the FFD, and then the FF Fantasy Football Advice Network. We have the Dynasty Pulse, Best Ball Night School over with DD Fantasy Football. It's been a lot of fun. It's been a cool grind, but here we are. We're in the playoffs. Like you said, we got a 3-week grind. It's like a different hat that we're wearing because there's a chop, right? Yep. You have your amount of leagues you're in that you've made the playoffs. There's a chop there. And then did you get a couple buys? My God, week 15 is so cruel. So if you can just get a buy, it's just such a boost to your percentages. And we're just going to see it dwindles down to maybe the handful of leagues that you win, Dynasty, Redraft, and then Best Ball. If you're able to make the finals, you're in a certain percentage bracket. So fun times here. And like you say, it'll be over before you know it. You'll be waking up and we'll be talking rookies, 2026 class, and do all this crazy mess again.
Yeah. I mean, you are so busy behind the scenes here at Player Profiler, and it's nice. It's great to communicate with you. You know, we probably chat once or twice a week at least, and then, you know, always grinding. You're behind the scenes grinding and doing everything else with the news desk. Be sure to check us out at Player Profiler News. You get up-to-date news from around the league from us here at Player Profiler. Yeah, I mean, you mentioned it. You led right into it with the playoffs coming up. How many leagues are you in? How many did you make?
So I think it's 13 that I counted between redraft, dynasty, 4 redraft. I've made 3 playoffs. I have a 3-peat college league with my college buddies that I got bounced out. So it's like so tough. I'm not going to 4-peat, you know, oh my God. But that's the one I didn't make. I have a best ball redraft that I tried, which was all right. I'll do better next year. Brian Thomas Jr. was an early round pick. Scott Fishbowl got to the playoffs, bounced in round 1.
Yikes.
Dynasty, I made about half my teams. I've got 2 teams, one that had no business. a one that was completely loaded last year, but got hit with the injury Armageddon, where I'm looking at this team and I'm ready to re-roll into next year. So it's so funny. We talk about what we expect to happen, and it's always different no matter what. And I think that's what brings us to this game that we love every single year. The Rabbit Fast Draft, we love that. I know you got the promo code Lewis.
Yeah, what's your promo code though?
Coach Russ Laugh 1. You know, you love to see it. I'm in top 10 in one of the Rabbits, and I was kind of top 5 for a while. Let's see if Omer and Hampton can like boost me back up. I've got him on the team. It's crazy. And I got about 20% advance rate in best ball. And like I say, the chop, it's so humbling. If you can get 4 or 5, at least for me, because if I did 500, if I get 4 or 5 teams to the finals, to me, it's epic. How about you, Jake? How is it looking for you?
You know, I kind of went down in leagues from last year. I had 12. Try to cut it down to, so now I'm in 10. I'm actually making 7 of them. The playoffs. All 4 of my dynasty teams. 3 of them I'm getting buys in. So, and there's one I'm in first place right now, and I still have like 3 first rounders coming up, and it's loaded team. And then, like you said, I'm back-to-back champ and 1. I got the injury bug. Neighbors, Joe Burrow for majority of the season. You know, it's just unfortunate. Couple of my other guys, you know, I'm in an auction league, which I love auction leagues. If you could get in one of those, except for I spent too much money on lower tier 1 wide receivers from last year, DJ Moore, Wilson or Garrett Wilson, Terry McLaurin, and I'm out of that one. But yeah, I got 7 of them. I'd say 4 or 5 of them I got first round buys. And then you brought up the Rabbit, which is great because I'm in the Rookie Origins, and I'm actually leading that one currently in one of them. So kind of excited for that. There's a couple other ones on a different Rookie Origins where I think I'm in top 10 of those, a couple of those too. So I'm excited for what can come for the next few weeks. But we, like you said, we always get those injury bugs. So let's get into injury.
Hey, plot twist for Origins Rookie 2026. I'm just saying maybe sometime in December we might have our 26 contest soon. That's all I'm going to say.
All right. We'll be here waiting for it. Can't wait. Yeah, injuries. Let's start with the quarterback position. Daniel Jones suffers a season-ending Achilles tear. Will require surgery. Does this end the Colts' hope for the playoffs?
It's a very, very tough scene because right now they're 3rd in the AFC South. The Jaguars get that pivotal one game big up on them.
Yes,
the Texans with that huge win went out and got it. So you have a 3-way push in the division. It's going to be very tough, but we're hearing news that Phillip Rivers is going to have a workout. And when you're listening to this, it will be today. Phillip Rivers working out, 44 years old, NC State legend. You'll love to see it. And Chargers legend. I think if he can still shot put the ball, because that's kind of what it looked like at the end of his career. We talked about a pre-show, something live for Tyler Warren, something live for it. You alluded to, you really like Josh Downs. And I think that's a great pivot and idea too. Michael Pittman Jr., talk about big area radius.
Yeah.
What's Phillip Rivers going to care about his completion percentage? He's not going to have that vanity. You are just reviving, possibly like Joe Burrow, Jameis Winston, if we were to get Phillip Rivers. On the Daniel Jones front, very tough. I have a ton of him in Superflex underdog, and he got me so far, and I'm scared to look at those teams. I'm really worried because he got me far. And in Dynasty, he was very free and very affordable, very gettable, anywhere price point. So I have a decent amount of him. Very bummed out. What do you make of if Phillip Rivers were to make it, and what do you think happens next year with Daniel Jones?
That's what I was wondering is next year for Daniel Jones. Well, I think we've seen it toward the end of his career with Phillip Rivers. He played for the Colts, so he kind of knows the front office already. He was only there for, I believe, 1 year, and then decided
they made the playoffs.
Yeah, exactly. Made the playoffs. I think, honestly, Alec Pierce might be a huge bump, too, because if he just starts chucking it, I don't know how strong that arm is anymore, but, we seen it back in the day with Keenan Allen, and you mentioned pre-show Antonio Gates.
Yeah.
So there's the Tyler Warren. I don't know if they actually get in the playoffs with him, but it can help us fantasy gamers for the next 3 weeks if he does come in, because we just heard that Riley Leonard might not even be available this week. So who do they have other than that? I think it's Brett
Rippin.
Yeah, Ripman.
And then Tyler Warren, we were getting a little bit hyped. We talked in the news desk chat about could it be Tyler Warren emergency wildcat situation? You would love to see that.
Yeah.
But I it's crazy. It sounds disgusting, but who would have thought that we would just be like fiending and pining for Phillip Rivers?
Yes, the one and only. Now he's got a grandkid on the way too, or he does have a grandkid. I think I read too.
A cool little note: his son Gunnar Phillips visited NC State. I got to go see them play UNC. Dog walked Bill Belichick.
Really?
And he may end up following his father's footsteps, but hey, dad still is out there possibly playing.
There you go. Yeah, and then for next season, Daniel Jones. I mean, we've seen multiple players now coming back from Achilles injuries in 9 months. So he could be absolutely ready by week 1 next year. Is it with the Colts? I think they kind of threw their chips in once they traded for Sauce Gardner, saying that Daniel Jones is our guy, making that kind of a push. So he might be a 1-year deal again for another 20 million. I mean, this year it's 15, 14 million. Maybe he gets a 20, $25 million prove it deal, and let's see how he does this year coming off an injury. I don't think he'll get the Sam Darnold love, the 3 years, 100 million, just because of this injury, honestly.
The Colts right now, it's kind of like in December when you swipe the credit card for Christmas and you get the bill in January. The 2 picks are burning a hole in them, and it's kind of like the upside down Stranger Things for the Colts. I, like you, hopefully Daniel Jones gets a 1-year deal. Prove it. Can he recover? And I just hope this isn't the end of him. He was this close to getting an extension. He was like 2 more huge games away, good games, and then he started getting the injury. They struggled. Very tough season.
Yep. And, we don't want, for, I guess, the Colts' sake, you don't want to sign him for multiple years and then get Kirk Cousins coming back. That's the problem. You never know what you're going to get. So a 1-year deal would be great for both team, player and team, I'd assume, but it's just a bad injury. He carried everyone this far, like you said, best ball leagues and everything else. The next guy, though, he hasn't been on the field much.
No.
Jayden Daniels exit one more time in his return from his dislocated elbow, and it looks like he injured the same one. Should they just call it quits, put him on the shelf, and not let him come back the rest of the season?
Oh, we got to solve for him being brittle somehow. Maybe he has to lift some form of a weight at all. I've been a huge Daniels truther, profited, did well last year. This year, he's hurt me, that dynasty team where I'm like, hey, next year we'll run it back. He's on that team. I'm sure many people have stories like that where it's like, oh, I had an excellent contender, and it had Jayden Daniels, and you thought you were set. And, of course, we remember preseason, Daniels, Lamar, and Josh Allen. That was the trio. Now, of course, Drake May has come up in there, spoil things. Daniel's stock has gone down. I think he's going to be a buy somehow. There'll be more fungibility in the dynasty market. But to your question, players play, and I'm a huge proponent of guys need to continue to develop. And with the Commanders, you have to play with skill position players and formulate something in the next year. Now, the problem with that is what much is there to develop rapport with, because the Commanders did so terribly last year in getting him surrounding talent. So to that degree, we may see him get shut down, Jayden Daniels, entirely. But for me, Joe Burrow kind of said it best about playing. And to me, hey, us as gamers, you'll see it all over Twitter. Hey,
Yeah.
this guy should shut it down. This player should shut it down. And it's usually a guy who's got his face on the camera, who does all the good stuff, right? But how about that 6-year defensive tackle who's breaking his back out there? Nobody says, hey, you know what? The season tanked. Let's just let that guy rest. Nobody ever really says that. They only say it about some peculiar players who are fantasy relevant and are in the limelight. So I am of the school of thought that Daniel should play. But at the same time, based on what they have going to build towards next year, there's not much to build this year towards next year. So I could see that. How do you think it's going to play out?
Mariota has looked confident, but this season overall, I would say is a wash for Commanders in general.
Yeah.
But I do agree. You finally got everyone healthy. I mean, quote, healthy, you'd say. Terry McLaurin, is playing. Zach Ertz, unfortunately, tore his ACL. That's a major blow. And then at running back, you don't know what you have right now. I mean, you got Chris Rodriguez, Bill Krosky, Jeremy McNichols, everything like that. But if he's actually fully healthy, that's the only way I'm putting him back out there. If he's not, I don't want to risk any further injury. Maybe something happens and now he needs Tommy John surgery. So then that's another year that you're going to screw yourself.
Yep.
But what about Jeremiah Love going to the Commanders next year?
Ooh, man, I love how you said that. The Minnesota Vikings are a team that is desperate for a running back, but at the same time, the Commanders, I just don't think they would allocate that draft capital that early. And I think that's the argument you're going to continually hear.
Yeah.
But maybe it'll be a Jonah Coleman. Maybe it'll be just another player out there. There's plenty of more running backs, but God, I love that idea I heard
how quick that'd be the backfield. And then you got Terry McLaurin. And I mean, that's another thing. Who else is opposite? You got Deebo Samuel, but he's getting up there in age.
Exactly.
So it's like,
Treylon Burks going to revive his career?
I mean, that one-hand catch, I cannot believe that's golden. Geno Smith, should he just be done? I mean, this year he injured his shoulder, and I think a lot of Raider fans wanted Kenny Pickett to play overall. But do you think they just kept Smith in just to have a least better shot, I guess you'd say, to win?
Yep. Well, track record, throw mode. They were a decent amount on throw mode last year with the Seahawks when Geno was last with Pete Carroll, and able to reunite the band in Vegas. We thought we would get a little bit of that with their throw mode, but it really hasn't turned out. Brock Bowers was hurt for such a long time. They've mismanaged, and that goes back to Chip Kelly, Ashton Janty's usage. It seems like, it's funny enough, they have a tight end and a running back. They're superfluous pieces to build to a team that you're trying to turn around. For us, for fantasy, we're like, okay, cool. But if you wanted a team build, there's so many other areas, and it looks like they're going to have to go at quarterback. Do you think they have any shot at a quarterback? If I look over at Tankathon, they are second. So would Fernando Mendoza be the move?
Well, because I think, who's number one? I don't know.
Right now it's the Giants.
Well, they don't need one.
Trade out. They could
trade out, but I can see them getting an offensive line help. I mean, that's where Raiders need to also focus too, because their offensive line looks horrid. So I don't know how many years left Kenny Pickett has on his contract, but I could also see them going offensive line as well. And then if there's not a star-studded quarterback, I mean, Fernando Mendoza is pretty damn good from what I've seen in the Ohio State game. I mean, they didn't truly score much, but he did prove that he can make good throws when it needed to happen. But there's not that one guy that they're confident on. Can they get maybe a Drew Aller or something like that in the third round, or, develop a little bit say screw it again and then get your quarterback the following year. I mean, it's so hard right now because there's so many pieces that they need overall for the Raiders, I feel.
Yeah, and then what do? Do you enter? There's probably going to be six, seven, or eight teams that are going to be interested in Mac Jones who would maybe want to trade. Now, if you had the chips to trade, I think AFC to a NFC team, there'd be least amount of conflict there.
Yep.
But then there's the Kyler sweepstakes. What's going to happen with him? It'll be very interesting because I don't think the QB class you were talking about, Mendoza, do you think it's really that strong of a QB class?
The hardest part is we don't know who's coming out. Is Ty Simpson coming out? Is Lenoris Sellers? Sellers is kind of like an Anthony Richardson, pretty raw still, but mobility. For us fantasy gamers, we're going to be in love with Sellers. And is the NFL going to be in love with him? That's a real question too. But it's really who comes out. It sucks that, the Texas Longhorns did not make the college playoffs. So maybe if, Arch Manning had a huge deep run to the championship, would he come out? It's so hard to say who's coming out. That's the problem. So
to your point,
right now it's
it's
right now is just you never know.
Yeah.
I do like Garrett Nussmeier too. I thought he was going to be a good quarterback last year coming out, but he stayed, and that whole LSU team, deploted.
It's tough. You're tied to Brian Kelly. It's risky business.
But his dad is an offense coordinator for the Saints. You never know.
I like that because the Saints they really butchered, and we'll probably cover it a little bit later. But I think they really butchered not getting Shedeur Sanders. They're one of the culprits that. Yeah, I don't think Tyler Shuck is going to be the long-term solution.
No,
that's a little.
He just reminds me of Will Levis. I mean, just like a little Band-Aid on it.
Yeah.
And what's going to happen? I do think, though, you talked about Kyler Murray. I could see him going to, for some reason, the Steelers just jump out at me because they love to take these one-year quarterbacks because he's still going to get paid. Does the Colt or does Arizona just release, Murray, and then all of a sudden, hey, you're paying him. I'll sign him for a veteran minimum, just like we did to Justin Fields, Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers. Now let's get Kyler Murray, and maybe he's the quarterback of the future. You never know because he's still 28 years old. It'll be interesting. The quarterback carousel is going to be interesting this offseason for sure.
And do you want to play? I think what's going to happen is going to be a 3-card Monty of, are we going to go after this undefined QB class and how confident are we? Yeah. And then are you going to go into the expensive Kyler Murray sweepstakes, which maybe not as expensive to your earlier point if it were, hey, he's shedded of the contract obligation so he could sign for lower. And then I think, even though you'll have to pay up a little bit because it's a trade and the Niners know what they've got, Mac Jones. So it's like 3 different price points. Do you want the established? Or do you want somebody who you think is going to be, you start your franchise over with? Or do you do a little bit of a retread with a promising Mac Jones?
Yeah. Or do you re-sign your Daniel Jones? You don't know. Moving on with injuries, Devon Achane, man, that really hurt. Injured his ribs and did not return. He looks so explosive right out of the gate. Oh, man, I thought he was going to have RB1 numbers all over. I mean, he rushed for 92 yards and a touchdown, I do believe, right away in the first half. And
7 carries.
Yeah, 7 carries. The first carry was 40-yard and just put him right in the position to score to Jalen Waddle right away. And they won again. Surprisingly, that's 5 out of the last 6 for Miami, I do believe.
And then I think that they and the Chiefs have the same record, who you would just think they're just complete polar opposites.
Yes. And then you've seen what happened afterwards. Jalen Wright goes for over 100. Yeah. Gordon rushes for a touchdown. It's just what could have been for Devon Achane?
He might have pushed for a 50 burger.
Oh yeah, like I feel like he would have been a couple of weeks ago when James Cook had 212 yards, I think, and 2 touchdowns that game, or even Jonathan Taylor 250 or whatever he had.
Or how many times JT's had 3 touchdowns, Gibbs has had 3 touchdowns, just guys out here having 3 touchdown games like it's nothing.
Yeah, it's so bad. Hopefully he comes back. I know I seen a report that if it was a meaningful game or if it was close that he could have came back. But, I mean, we've seen Jalen Wright and Ollie Gordon handle the workload, and that's what they did.
And it's wild to your point because you were pretty much a proponent. We were talking pre-show and here where you're like, hey, Achane could be the number 1 running back overall this week had he not gotten hurt.
Yep.
Well, to your point, Achane ended up, granted we just have this Monday night game, RB8, and then Jalen Wright, RB10. So if you combine those two, who knows what they could have. It's kind of like what Blake Corum and Kyron Williams did. Corum, RB3, Kyron Williams, RB7 on the week.
Yeah. Yeah, if only. That's what sucks is about fantasy is injuries, but it's not just happening to one guy or your team, or it always feels that way, but everyone's experiencing that. And then Keaton Mitchell injured his knee. He's been a solid 1-2 punch with Derrick Henry. A little thunder, a little lightning, but the guy cannot stay healthy at all. I mean, a couple years ago, torn ACL, long time recovery. Now he's back healthy, and now he injured his knee again.
Well, if I recall correctly, Devon Achane played all 17 games last year. This year, this was just the first time that Achane had come out or really had a true injury scare. Because remember, the calf injury was pushing Achane. People were real nervous. He ended up playing, ended up being fine. But Keaton Mitchell is Devon Achane light, right? We heard that comparison. Well, funny enough, Mitchell, to your point, talking about, hey, can't stay healthy. Keaton Mitchell is kind of who people expected Devon Achane to be on the injury front. So very tough scene. If he could stay healthy, you could bottle it up. He seemed to be on track to kind of be good for like 10 points and be a good flex. Yeah, a very tough scene for him. And if you could put it all together, it'd be like stealing if you had him.
Oh, yeah. I mean, maybe it's just a Mitchell last name, Elijah Mitchell. Yeah. If he could stay healthy, maybe would they have ever traded for CMC? You know what I mean? So maybe is that last name Mitchell for at the running back position.
That's why we want Jeremiah Love.
Yes, you're right. We'll get in. There's no real injuries at wide receiver, so we'll talk about tight ends, and then we'll get into the nitty gritty. Zach Ertz, we talked about earlier, torn ACL, out for season, maybe career. It sucks because as much as he's taken away from maybe a up-and-coming player like Ben Sinnott, he just gave it his all each and every week. His wife and him are always like donating. It's just something you don't want to see. You've seen it on the sideline. Everyone's crying, and it is a tearful moment at that time. But I don't know. Do you see him coming back next year at all?
Only if he wants it. And it's just a matter of, I think he'll figure it out early on when he gets a prognosis, and this is what the rehab looks like. And if he can see the purpose and that next step of what he's doing, Trey McBride just had a cool, excellent tweet where he said something about the strongest thing you can do is take the next step. And if we apply that to what Zach Ertz has going on, but at the same time, he's really earned his stripes. He's a Super Bowl champion. And, he was in front of Dallas Goedert. Phenomenal left. And Goddard's a excellent talent. Was in front of Trey McBride. McBride is an excellent talent. So maybe you had alluded to, could Ben Sinnott be the guy? We shall see. But for formulation, what's going to happen for your career if you're 36 years old?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm 37 going on 38. and it's hard enough just to do regular life. So I cannot imagine But you got to think this is what they've been doing maybe since he was in middle school.
Yeah.
And there's the death of an athlete and there's the death of a person. So
Yeah.
I think what you alluded to, that emotion, there's that death of an athlete setting in it, and it just gradually happens over time where you miss that first week coming back. Like this week, he's not going to be there with his teammates in practice.
Yeah.
And then there's that extended period of being out. And then there's the postseason and not knowing. And then maybe it's the first year of retirement and week one happens and it really hurts. Like there's gradations. Steve Young is somebody who's talked about that. His life after being a football player is truly an adjustment. So hat tip to Ertz if it's all said and done.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I know he's got a good connection with JJ Watt because his wife and JJ Watt's wife has played soccer together. And, you know, I could see him doing some kind of broadcasting or some sort, you know, after his career is all said and done. I don't know if that's next year or, you know, take a year off and visualize it, because at this rate, you know, tearing an ACL, will he be healthy at all next year? And, you know, we're in week 14. Yeah. We've seen it multiple times, you know, players. Jonathan Brooks last year came back a little too early and tore his ACL again. Does he want to put that kind of stress and strain again on his body? That's the hardest part.
You made a good point about JJ Watt. He's somebody who really adjusted well to retirement. Not every player can do that. So if he has that connection with Zach Ertz and of course the wives who know each other, who played together for the soccer, hey, good.
Yeah, definitely. And the last guy we'll talk about, David Njoku, injured his knee, did not return. I mean, he's only been playing 51, 52% snaps. But Harold Fannin, whew, man, he took full advantage. I mean, he's been playing 90, 91, and I don't know exactly. I think it's like 95% or something around there. But we're probably going to mention something about him later on. But whew, Njoku has been phased out. I think he's out of there after this year in the Cleveland uniform.
A tight end one on the week, Harold Fannin Jr., and I think there's going to be more where that came from.
Yes, definitely. I totally agree. Let's talk we'll talk about a couple of games. Speaking of the Browns, let's talk about the Titans and Browns right away. Battle of the two rookie quarterbacks. You know, number one versus Shadur Sanders. Cam Ward didn't really have too much of an impressive. I mean, we've seen it over and over. 117 yards. He can't get over 200 yards passing, but he does have scramblability and kind of actually impresses once in a while with his mechanics of how he throws. What do you think about Cam Ward, I guess, overall?
Yeah, he makes the easy look difficult. He makes the difficult look easy. Like he'll just pull off some incredible play, which will remind you, hey, there's still something to work there. I think you can't throw Cam Ward out. You can't call him a bust. You have to give him at least another year.
Oh, yeah.
You have to give good talent. I just saw, hey, if Jordan Tyson or Mekhi Lemon got drafted there to the Tennessee Titans, you would have an opportunity. Now, will they expend the draft capital that early for a weapon? We shall see. A lot of things can happen, but they're going to be so early in the draft that the Titans will have an early second round pick. And from pick 33 to pick 40, that early second round is like a sweet spot where you can steal. You can get basically a first round talent in round one at a different position and then come away with a wide receiver. I would love KC Concepcion. I'm very partial to him.
Yes.
It's time
Texas
at NC State.
yes,
and now, really like him. So, we're talking speaking the same language. I would love KC Concepcion to be out there. So talk dirty to me. If it were early round one draft capital or early round two draft capital, I'm getting hyped for it.
Yeah, I really like what Chimere DK has been putting out on the field also for the Titans. Alec Manor. We've been talking, last year he was supposed to be very high sought after, I thought. But DK was actually drafted before him in the same round. But DK just looks so much better than Manor. And I think that's going to be their go-to guy. And we know that Ridley's not going to probably come back next year.
It's over.
He busts other butts so much. But yeah, and then you also have Gunnar Helm.
Yes.
That's probably going to take over at tight end because Chikakanku, unfortunately, those two are splitting time right now. But
what's cool, when we talked about the Jayden Daniels thing, like building and playing, continuing to play, people might say, well, but they won't say it about Cam Ward. Hey, shouldn't he just kind of pack it in because it's a lost season, right? Yeah. But the beauty is with Cam Ward, these last 4 weeks, you are going to have the opportunity with DK, with Helm, maybe it's Tajay Spears, Alec Manor. Can you build with guys who are around you? Cam Ward has a couple guys around him. He needs a lot more. No question, a lot more.
Yep.
These last few games where people are just kind of shooing him and writing Cam Ward off, you can have that opportunity to work your craft and make the most. A coach told me, and I always love this growing up, you got to want it when it's not there. So then it's there, you'll be ready. So in this last month where it's totally lost, guys could just take a dump and check out completely. Yeah. And a lot of people wouldn't be the wiser. But if you really lock in Cam Ward, I think he can finish strong, have something to build on. And then we're talking about the scenario where it's Casey Concepcion. It's some type of wide receiver. Maybe it's Denzel Boston, some kind of a target, some help, please, God, if you're listening, help. And it's
exactly
a little bit better for year 2.
Yes, definitely agree. Do you know, I mean, Tony Pollard in that game, though, 161 yards, like, exploded. I did not see this coming. I thought they were going to give more Tajay Spears more of a chance. I don't know how much years Pollard has left in him on that team or his contract in general, but I know Tajay Spears is on the team next year.
Mm-hmm.
I was surprised that they did not give more workload to see what they have. I mean, I guess it also sucks because we don't know what the coaching regime is going to look like next year for them. Right. So, yeah.
I'm just surprised that, and maybe if the Tony Pollard on Reddit guy was getting traded to New England was correct, because the Patriots blocked that move because of the Titans blocked that move because of Mike Vrabel. And those ties. The fact that the Titans did not trade away Tony Pollard, even Calvin Ridley, because I believe Ridley was healthy at that point.
Yep.
I thought that was just so wasteful because, like we had said in that exercise, all the names that you named, Jake, were all players who were future related. Gunnar Helm, DK, and that whole idea with Tony Pollard and Calvin Ridley, they're not part of the future. No. The Titans missed an opportunity. If there was a low offer, they should have taken it.
Yeah, definitely.
Where are you sitting now? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you could have got draft capital to what? Help your team for next year. Instead, we're going to put it to, Mike Vrabel because we don't like him, even though we are the ones that fired him. And we didn't get any compensation from any other team. It's your fault.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's crazy how people can do that. And, speaking of another young team, we'll look at the Browns. I mean, you got your quarterback. Is he the quarterback of the future? I mean, sure has been playing like it. God.
Well, to our point about Cam Ward, you've got another month left to play to put out some good film on wax. And Shedeur Sanders, there's areas and times where, the pocket is collapsing on him and he's this close to danger. And there's going to be a defense that just eats his lunch. And it could be the Bears who are upcoming this week. We have them as a streamer, the Bears, because you're going to get a couple weeks where defenses are going to be able to adjust on the film that they have on Shedeur Sanders. And that's where we're going to have to see an inkling of growth for him, where Shedeur Sanders adjusts to the adjustment in the NFL. Yeah. And I think he's capable because I've seen just a touch on his passes. The David Njoku, that loft ball, that is so difficult. Like, okay, what's easy for you when you go back and you rear back to throw? You can throw a line drive right down the middle, straight ahead, possibly right through a tire, right? Accuracy wise and for force. But when you have to lob it up and you have to angle it and get enough zip on that ball too where it has to drop, that is just something where let's bottle that up. Let's keep encouraging that. And to me, Shedeur Sanders has the ability. Is there some maturity degree? Yes. Has it been overblown? Absolutely. Have the Browns been a terrible franchise and awful for him? Sure. There seemed to be no plan when it was Dylan Gabriel, Shedeur, and then was it Kenny Pickett was there at the beginning of the year, and then you had Joe Flacco. Just a dumpster fire for Shedeur Sanders. 3 teams that come to mind: Steelers, Saints, Browns. They're the 3 teams that kept passing in the merry-go-round. They were the 3 real teams that had the idea and need for somebody like Shedeur Sanders. And they kept passing, and that was a hot potato. If you notice those 3 teams, if you follow their movements, that's what got Shedeur Sanders down to round 5. To me, the Saints are the worst defender. The Browns weren't far behind.
Yeah, I mean, and you've seen that Tyler Shuck, you see Will Howard, all these guys got drafted before him. And it's just like, and then another team in there, the Raiders, is it true about Tom Brady and everything else? Like, he really loved Shedeur. Then why didn't you get him as, to learn from Geno Smith, a capable veteran and everything like that?
Yeah. Well, hey, if you've
but
ever
then
been
you got the quarterback controversy, especially right now, would be a big time.
If you've ever been in sales, it's kind of funny. People buy from you, or they say they'll buy from you until you start selling. You have a product to sell them. They could be your best friend. They could be your family member. Hey, I'm going to go with you. And you'd be surprised how often that just isn't the case. And a lot of, love and verbal tipping and verbal affirmation from Tom Brady may not mean the same thing when it comes to following through. It's kind of like sometimes for fantasy football when we talk a player up, but when it comes to drafting and making that selection in your rookie drafts, in your redrafts, in your best ball drafts, do you actually have the stones and the gumption to click? And then how do you feel afterwards? What do you think of Sanders? Do you think he's going to make it with the Browns?
I think they should give him another, maybe a whole year of, because again, they have a lot of open needs and everything like that. I don't know exactly. I don't have the list of where they'd be drafting.
Right now, they're 4th.
And don't they have the Jaguars first round draft pick this year too?
Oh, that sounds phenomenal. Yes,
they do.
Good call. Yeah. And right now, funny enough, this isn't like a Ram situation.
No,
that's pick 27. Yeah. The Jaguars at least said, "Hey, I'm a contender. I'm throwing away my first round pick. I'm going to get something better." And my God, the Rams right now, the Falcons pick. Speaking of, they have the 9th pick. That's crazy. Inside the top 10
for what was it, James Pierce Jr. So I feel like so again, they'll have 3 draft picks in the top 40 because they're second round. So again, they could do the same thing as what they did last year, take need, and build. They took Junkins, great pick, I feel. Schlesinger early in the second, great pick again. And they traded back and they still drafted Graham Mertz or Mason Graham and got a first round draft pick. Maybe do some sort of that, maybe they could build up that offense line and take more pressure or whatever, maybe get another defensive end to help out that pass rush. I mean, Myles Garrett could love another guy that gets to a quarterback too. So, I mean, and then if he's not the guy, they're not going to have that good. And I feel like the 2027 draft class, I mean, it's every year. Oh, this one's the best one. This one's the best one. But I feel like players are not coming out right now with the NIL deals and, everything else. So I don't think the top guys that we see for quarterback is going to come out. And at the same time, Mendoza versus Shadir. I mean, Mendoza is great quality quarterback from what it looks like. Shadir's already played. I mean, are you really upgrading at that moment?
That's why I think this next month.
Yes. It looks like you're muted.
Sorry about that.
No, you're good.
That's why this month is so crucial.
Yes, definitely. And, he had bad words or whatever the case was with Jerry Jeudy, and then they built the connection, and he goes for 60-yard touchdown or whatever. But yeah, I think give him time, but he's just got to grow up a little bit. The fame is getting to him a little bit. After he threw that touchdown pass, goes up to Simmons and made sure he did that right in Simmons' face, even though it's just like little ticky-tack things like that.
I think the NFL will humble him, and I think what has occurred already, it was hugely embarrassing to drop to the 5th round. And a lot of people would just not get out of bed, would not continue. They would shrink. And even still, it wasn't like, hey, roll out the mat, you're playing. We've seen it has not been linear whatsoever for him. So Shedeur Sanders, this is why you get an opportunity. It took everything to go just right. It was razor thin for Shedeur Sanders.
Yep.
And now he's got, finally, Stefanski, whether it's his arm being twisted or not, the verbal go-ahead on week over week, Sanders is going to get the hot hand treatment.
Yeah.
So it's so huge right now that the window of opportunity for Shedeur Sanders, that he takes advantage over this month. You can't give any reason to go again. So right now, build that resume these last 4 games.
Yeah, and then again, you never know. Maybe they just end up trading him, for maybe a 4th, maybe a little Joe Milton-esque, he played really well, and then we could dump him out for draft capital or whatever the case may be. But let's just talk about one more game here. The high-scoring, the Rams and Cardinals. I mean, Rams, Matthew Stafford, I think he's MVP right now. How he's playing, 281, 3 touchdowns. Puka Nacua, man, he finally gets the 2 touchdowns. Sorry, Adam, step aside, let the real guy go in, But 7 catches, 167 and 2. Adams took a back seat, but then again, they really didn't have to throw all that much. They threw it 31 times, which not bad.
Yep.
But when you have Corum and you have Williams rushing for 200 yards combined for 3 touchdowns, big days for both, or all 4 of them, all 4 of those players.
Puka Nacua, wide receiver 2.
Yep.
And only to Michael Wilson, who was wide receiver 1, if I have that right, in the same game. And then you've got Corum and Kyron, who we talked about, RB3, RB7. Stafford was the QB4. Colby Parkinson was the tight end 10. It's an embarrassing of riches. And then Jacoby Brissett, he might get bumped out, but he was QB12 entering Monday Night Football.
Yeah.
So what a game loaded with goodness, and 2 teams that are going in complete opposite directions. But if you think about it, the trio of Brissett, McBride, and Michael Wilson has been phenomenal for fantasy football. And then on the Rams, it's just an embarrassment of riches. Which running back do you want to roulette? Can we get Jarquez Hunter to go out there? You just have this faith in Sean McVay. Corum is on the inner circle. It's like you have to have one isolated year where you're a rookie and just don't get on the inside. But hey, year 2, you're good. So you paid your dues.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, and then the Rams, I mean, we talked about it earlier, and they still have a top 10 draft pick as of right now, too. And that defensive front is good. This is a Super Bowl contending team right here.
They were very close that game against the Philadelphia Eagles.
They should have won.
Yeah, it's there. It's there.
Yes, definitely. And then, Michael Wilson, 11 catches, 142 and 2. What is so bad that Marvin Harrison cannot put up numbers at this moment? Is it the scheme or is it the ability? I mean, I think the ability is there. It's just maybe it's a scheme.
I think it's a cruel situation where he happened to get hurt when Brissett came along, and then he had the appendicitis thing.
Yep.
I actually think he would be feasting, maybe not the way Michael Wilson. I don't want to be play down anything Michael Wilson has done, but he was getting targeted and peppered in that last game he was in, and then it just rug pulled from us. So I think year 3, this is not Clyde Edwards-Helaire. This is Marvin Harrison Jr. I do like the idea of if there's any kind of discount from the discount. All right, this time we're for real. I think Marvin Harrison Jr. could absolutely be a buy right there. I think this is a huge, huge indictment on Kyler Murray. If you look at fantasy points per game, Kyler Murray is like top 10 for 6 different seasons off the top of my head.
I think so.
Yeah, it's there, but the cohesion with the fantasy goodness. Look, we surmised and thought Trey McBride is getting isolated out of the red zone. It was McBride and it was Marvin Harrison a ton who would not get looks in the red zone. Michael Wilson would actually get random touchdowns. Maybe we should have seen that coming with Jacoby Brissett. But finally, Brissett, though, is responsible. He feeds everybody. And I think if Marv was back, it would just be divvied up a little more.
Yeah. And we've seen kind of that last game before Marv left with the heel injury is more distributed. But 16 targets. I mean, every game that Harrison is not there, 3 100-yard games, big ways, but again, peppered with targets. And we love to see it as fantasy gamers. Let's take a break right here, and then we'll come back and talk about a couple other rookie quarterbacks and then get into our waivers.
Pour one out for an incredible best ball season. It was a breakout 2025 for Fast Draft, but now the NFL action has started. That means it's DFS season. That's right. You might think, oh, wow, DFS, I can't win DFS. Oh, but you can on Fast Draft. You just pick any 6 guys, and you put them in a handful of booster spots. There's no salary rubric you have to follow. You're not going up against thousands of killer bots in these tournaments. No. These are regular people grabbing their 6 favorite plays of the week, and that's all you have to do. And we post the ownership so that you can choose how much chalk you want. There is no drafting. It's called the Quick 6 Super Slam. The Quick 6 Super Slam is the signature DFS contest at Fast Draft. It is changing DFS. We are making DFS great again. So go to fastdraft.app and use your host promo code for a $50 deposit match, and let's go start drafting faster.
And you got a promo code, you said, Jeremiah?
Oh, yeah. At Coach Retzlaff1, sign up with me or hit up Code Lewis. Get in with Jake. And it's always the cool thing about Fast Draft I've always noticed with what Matt does is he will set it up so you can get more credits. He'll, a lot of times you'll just do that first initial deposit and there's really not much afterwards, but you end up hearing back from Fast Draft. And what's cool about these contests right now is they're very attainable versus some of the larger contests in maybe DraftKings or Underdog, which are still fun platforms to play. But the mass market entry in Fast Draft, you feel like you've got a shot. So that's the appeal right now. You go in there, you've got just as great a shot, and it's neat with the strategy. I almost said strategery like George Bush. But with how you put the flexes in and have to differentiate, you could be on a player, but somebody could be on them better than you because they put in the top flex.
Yeah, definitely. I love drafting each and every week. The 3rd round reversal I think is amazing. I don't know how much. I don't really do it on DraftKings or anything else like that, but I only use Fast Draft myself. But yes, go ahead and join Jeremiah and myself this week for draft. Yeah, I guess we already talked about all these rookie quarterbacks. I mean, Cam Ward, Shadir, Riley Leonard's, yeah, same thing with Cook. I mean, those guys probably aren't going to be doing much. It seems like the Jets just kicked off the tires for Justin Fields overall. I don't even know if he was actually if he was emergency quarterback 3, I'm guessing.
Yeah, Fields, he was out for some kind of injury, so it wasn't like he could go in for Tyrod Taylor. And knowing Aaron Glenn, look, as a fantasy gamer, I just want Justin Fields to start because then I can have some Konami code goodness. Give me 3 weeks. You don't have to see me the rest of my life, Justin Fields or Aaron Glenn. But the way Aaron Glenn is going, he's almost got this vendetta against Justin Fields. And I get it, how Fields, just as a thrower, hasn't been good. It needed to change. Tyrod Taylor does throw a better football as far as giving his weapons like Adonai Mitchell. It was a better football being thrown from Tyrod Taylor. And you might say, well, that's just crazy, but that's how low the bar has been.
Exactly.
No discredit to Tyrod Taylor. At the same time, if you're trying to aim for your franchise, we talked about Kyler Murray, Mac Jones, the NFL draft class for the 2026 quarterback class. Tyrod Taylor's not the future per se. So that's really tough for the Jets. The Jets right now, 7th on Tankathon.
Yeah, I don't. Could they get somebody? Maybe a Ty Simpson if he comes out. But that's the thing is we still don't know who's coming out.
And he looked terrible. Granted, it's against the Georgia Bulldogs, but he looked terrible.
Yeah, and after that, they should never made the college playoffs to begin with after that game. But Notre Dame maybe should have been in. They just revoked and said we're not going to any bowls this year. And then again, maybe Texas should have got in. It'll be interesting seeing those college playoff games. But with that, let's just get into our waiver pickups. These are 70%, less than 70% owned.
Yep.
Give me some guys that you're going to be targeting, especially, heading into fantasy playoffs. Who are you targeting?
Well, I've seen Shedeur Sanders 7% on ESPN. I imagine in Superflex leagues, it might be a little bit higher, more spoken for. But again, QB2 performance only to Josh Allen. Justin Fields, we spoke to if Tyrod Taylor is out, but you have to pay attention to what happened with Aaron Glenn. And then Marcus Mariota. You had spoken to how well Marcus Mariota has been. QB 13 or better this season 4 times. Weeks 10, 11, and 13 was QB 13, 9, and 3. If you picked up a quarterback blindly without seeing, and you said you were going to get QB 13, 9, and 3 from picking up in a Superflex league, you'd be so happy. So, like you say, Mariota, it might be looking good for him. Who do you have for quarterback?
I put my guy, Jacoby Brissett. I mean, same thing. If you could name in the last 7 starts, quarterback 7, 12, 10, 10, 4, 8, 9, and currently he's 12, man, all 7 games he finished as a quarterback 1. And, he's throwing 43 pass attempts a game right now. That is insane because their running backs are not getting anything done. They're always in a negative game script. So they're throwing the ball. So I'm always going to go out and get Jacoby Brissett. And I had him this past week as one of my starts of the week just because each and every week he proves it and the numbers show. So I really am very high on him this week in general. I mean, he's available in nearly 52% of sleeper leagues. It's just crazy. Blows my mind at that moment. But yeah, I only put one for myself. Who you got for running backs?
It's the tandem of Jalen Wright, Ollie Gordon. Jalen Wright, 2% on ESPN. Crazy. Was RB8. It really is tough for the Ollie Gordon bags because we thought Ollie Gordon could be like Raheem Mostert, even had the same number, and that hasn't quite happened. But I think you're just going to be in this juxtaposition of Gordon will get the random touchdown. Jalen Wright might get more of all the usage.
Yep.
Thing is, though, Devon Achane, Monday Night Football against the Steelers, it sounds like he might play. So really, if you've got Wright or Gordon, I think you just hold them for now.
Yep.
And you don't aggressively pick them up, but you do pick up Jalen Wright and then Ollie Gordon if you can. Devin Neal, high-end running back 2, 15.4 fantasy points. He gets the Panthers, Jets, and Titans. And then Blake Corum, we spoke a ton to him already. You already know the numbers. 22% rostership. Lions, Seahawks, Falcons in the fantasy playoffs. I saw Singletary. Tyrone Tracy has a hip injury, so if you want touchdown equity, it's nasty, but go out and get it. Rasheen Ali, would you even pick him up? Because I don't think it's really worth it. It's just
honestly, right now, I'm assuming the teams that are making the playoffs probably already have a good core going into it. So I would assume that Ali is not going to boost anyone that's on your starting roster as it right now. So I mean, it's somebody to look out for, but I just wouldn't right now with Mitchell. I mean, yeah, he's banged up, but I think they're just going to give it all to Henry.
Who do you have?
I have Chuba Hubbard, actually. Available in 45% of leagues. Heading into their bye week, he played 59% of snaps compared to Rico Dow's 42%. I believe he's healthier. Panthers believe in him constantly. I don't know why, compared to Dowdle going for 200-plus total yards in back-to-back games. And he's viewed as the receiving and third down back. I like him if he's available in your leagues. And I do really like Devin Neal going into the fantasy playoffs. He's high usage. I don't see Alvin Kamara coming back at this moment. But Panthers, Jets, and Titans, I feel like can be a good playoff run to go against. And, of course, Blake Corum, I agree with you on that as well.
And then for receivers, I'm going to go with Luther Burden, 16%. I was surprised at how low that number was on ESPN. Other sharper, not my league, bro. Sure. Luther Burden should be taken in all not in my league, bro leagues. But I was talking with Chev earlier.
Yeah.
Loveland, the move for 2026, Burden and Loveland, take them both when you can, get one or the other wherever you can. And I think you're going to find a lot of profitability in best ball, dynasty, redraft streets. Yeah, I'm a fan. Rashid Shaheed, if dropped, I think you could take that opportunity. But on a dynasty note, I think Torrey Horton is a huge buy, sneaky buy for next year. And now I'm seeing on a lot of lists, Jake, Ryan Flournoy, do you buy 115 and 1 from him, 26 fantasy points?
He's shown flashes multiple times with CD out. I know he's a huge, or Jason Atwall or Wine at Wine, all Wine. Sorry, he's a huge fan of Ryan Flournoy, and I looked into him, and he's got some of the best statistic numbers at Player Profiler if you look him up. But CeeDee Lamb was already torching that team going into that before he got concussed. He already had over 100 yards. Flournoy stepped up, had a 45-yard touchdown. I think Lamb is going to be clearing concussion protocol. I mean, they did play on Thursday, so that helps a lot, giving him the 10-day window to come back. I might throw a couple percentage at him just in case if Lamb cannot give it a go. But if you have a week 1 bye week in your fantasy playoffs, I'd probably hold not using my priority if you do that. If you do priorities, make sure you get into Fab next season because it's just ridiculous at that moment. But yeah, I'd throw maybe a couple percentage if you have Fab. I wouldn't waste a waiver pickup though for him. For my guy, I would. Christian Watson though. I mean, he's Packers' true number one. You're looking at player profiler. We see air yards. He's exceeded 100 air yards 3 of his 7 games that he's been in. In the last 4 games, he's got wide receiver 6, 34, 12, and currently 6 finish on the week. That's 3 in the last 4 games as a wide receiver 1. His playoff run, Denver, it's going to be a harder game, yes.
Surtain. Yep.
But you got Bears again. He just put up wide receiver 6 numbers, and Ravens. I think those are 2 good ones, especially DK just torched the Ravens this past week. And that's kind of what Christian Watson is a deep burner, just like DK. And I'm getting Watson wherever I can.
Man, I love that call. And it's kind of cool to see that he has come back long form after all that. And he looks like the guy. Hopefully he has that injury thing sorted out. And maybe he ends up being the Packers wide receiver 1 that we have wanted, that we have chased after, like in years past where you want the Chiefs starting running back and you squeeze out of it and you lose so many ways along the way because it's not what Kareem Hunt was years ago.
Yep.
His rookie season, right? Yeah, I love that play big time. Good call on the Packers. For tight end, Harold Fannin Jr., I know you're high on him. You spoke to him before. So just more agreement there with you. 54%. Tight end 1 on the week. One of my biggest misses was David Njoku was going to be a top 3 tight end this year. All the stats last year, I had a million good ones because the targets were there with Bowers and McBride. But adjacent to this entire play, I was wrong, but I was in the right location. It's Harold Fannin Jr. So tangentially, the guy next to him, if Harold Fannin Jr. gets the unadulterated Browns usage, and you spoke to if Njoku would move out of the way, I think you got, of course, this week is a waiver wire play, and for future, wheels up. Ben Sinnott, honorable mention with Zach Ertz. You had talked about Zach Ertz being out for the season.
Yep.
But I would not roll out Sinnott week 15. Just wouldn't.
No. I mean,
who do you have for tight end?
I copied you, Harold Fanning, I have to. Available in 32% of sleeper leagues. Him and Shadir have been on the same page. One of his favorite targets. I think back-to-back games with a touchdown. And again, he's playing over 90% of snaps the last 3 games with Njoku there. And with Njoku gone, he erupts for 8 catches, 114 and a touchdown. So I think it's just straight line the rest of the season with Harold Fannin easily. So I'm adding him. Honorable mention, maybe. Yeah. I guess it's so hard with Benson. It's, just because we haven't seen anything from him, but I would not be surprised if maybe a Dallas Goedert or something like that is still out there too. But yeah, I'm sticking with Fannin overall.
Got to throw it all in there.
Yes, definitely. Well, Jeremiah, this is where it comes to an end. Thank you again. Let the fans know where they can find your work once again.
Hey, catch me with Jake, Player Profiler News. We do a whole lot, and we're up to the beat. We just dropped the story about Phillip Rivers and what's going on with him. We shall see. I think it could happen. Why not? I would sign up for it just to see it play out. Yeah. And thank you for having me. It's a whole lot of fun just playing this game of ours. We buy ourselves a microphone. We get up and we speak and we talk on these podcasts. It's just kind of neat how we get this opportunity to work at Player Profiler and do the Player Profiler News. I know, Jake, you've been helping out with our rookie rankings, and you've done real well. Our draft kit last year. So year-round, there's a whole lot going on. So I appreciate you having me on the show, and you're a great teammate to have. So thank you, everyone, for tuning in.
Yeah, thanks again. And follow me on Twitter, X, whatever you call it, at LouisLewis5. Until next week, I'll see you fantasy heads next week. Till then, peace out.
From the Podfather to you, I deeply appreciate you tuning in. And many ask, what can I do? What can I do to help support the hosts, the research they do, the production costs? Go to playerprofiler.com, Dynasty Deluxe, World Famous Draft Kit, Rankings, DFS Dominator, and of course, data analysis. Subscribe to any one of those, and you support all of us and take Player Profiler to the moon.